Hello, Mr. Smith? Yes, but she's not here now. I will call you back when she's here. Okay, bye.
I offer you this super amazing bottle. This keeps your coffee super cold and your juice super hot. You definitely need it.
I don't think you need it.
No, you need it. Look at this flyer. And today it's 80% off.
Oh, okay, I need it for sure.
So, what do you think?
Oh, I come here too.
You just saw 3 different scenarios of bullshit job. A bullshit job is a form of paid employment that is so pointless that even the employee cannot justify its existence.
We will now explore the book Bullshit Jobs written by David Graeber and critically analyze the content as well as the meaning of the subject. First, we will look at what are the central arguments made by the book and how they can be applied to organizations. Then, we will see if the points made by the book are useful and feasible to the people they are intended for. Finally, we will explore the limitations of this book. Bullshit jobs often pay quite well and tend to offer excellent working conditions. They're just pointless. The author insists a bullshit job isn't the same as a shit job, which can be defined as a job that doesn't pay well and doesn't involve good working conditions. Graeber defines 5 different types of bullshit jobs. The first, flunkies, exist primarily to make someone else feel or look important. For example, receptionists that answer 1 phone call a day and the rest of the time are paid to be bored. The second, goons, are individuals whose work is to trick somebody into buying things they don't need in life. Goons often suffer because they have to be manipulative, aggressive, or dishonest. Then, duct tapers are employees whose job exists only because of a glitch or to fix a problem. For example, an employer who has a leak on his roof, but rather than fixing it, will put a bucket underneath the leak and hire somebody to regularly dump the water. Duct tapers are often angry about doing a bullshit work. Then, we have box tickers, employees of an organization which claim that it is doing something even though it's not doing anything. For example, consultants who are often box tickers. They write bullshit reports to make organization appear good. Finally, we have taskmasters, can be divided into 2 groups. The first includes those who assign work to others and are unnecessary superiors. The second are actually more harmful because they create bullshit tasks for others to do and generate extra bullshit. In this book, David Graeber explains that bullshit jobs will make people unhappy and depressed, since it gives no valuable purpose for the employees who feel like a fraud. To quote the author, a human being unable to have a meaningful impact on the world ceases to exist. People will therefore become bored in day-to-day life, which even may have a trickle-down effect on the company. However, in the book, Graeber highlights that bullshit jobs are becoming more and more common in today's society, as people argue that bullshit work is better than no work. These bullshit jobs are a real problem. However, David Graeber proposes a solution to get rid of bullshit jobs. Society must find a way to disconnect work from revenue. To once again quote the author, we could easily become societies of leisure and institute a 20-hour work week, maybe a 15-hour work week. Instead, we find ourselves as a society condemned to spending most of our time at work, performing tasks that we feel make no difference in the world whatsoever. For organizations and managers out there, how can we collectively stop creating bullshit jobs? Or rather, how can we create meaningful jobs that cognitively and spiritually uplift the people doing them? Building the right structure can help remove unnecessary conflicts between departments or people. But to think structurally instead of focusing on one individual job or gap to be filled will likely set everyone on the right path. For instance, don't hire for now, hire for a role with potential to expand. If the role is not further fleshed out with further growth opportunities in sight, the person hired may eventually leave. When a job is created, the hiring manager should know exactly why the role is created, what is expected of the hire, and they should have an initial list of tasks to perform. so that any candidate applying will know exactly if they are suitable to take this position. If you want a whole team to perform, you need the manager to perform first. Working with people that inspire you, constantly improve yourself. So far, we've seen the definition, problems, and ways to eliminate bullshit jobs in the book. But now, are the points made in the book applicable in reality? And are the countermeasures for bullshit jobs feasible for real managers? Well, we can say that while in the book some situations are very suggestive of the real world, it also contains arguments that are less applicable. Let's start with what's useful for real employees and managers. First and foremost, it's obvious that these kinds of bullshit jobs do exist in our workplace. You may have all encountered the people I mentioned at the beginning. Secretaries who give pointless answers, salesmen who want to sell you anything, office workers that pretend to do anything. If you already work for a large organization, you may have experienced these bullshit jobs yourself. The book also introduces bullshit jobs for students. According to it, students are particularly frustrated because they must spend efforts on useless tasks and pretend to spend a lot of time on such tasks. As we're all experiencing, this correctly describes the student real-life frustration as a bullshit job. In this way, the contents of the book have succeeded in making readers aware of the bullshit jobs workers and professionals face and suggesting the problems involved. At some points, one might have agreed with the book about the bullshit job and willing to work on the bullshit job. Why? Because this kind of jobs are not actual work. They just get the things done day by day. Some of the bullshit jobs that author mentioned are fire section, finance, insurance, real estate jobs, which have a relatively high salary. As for managers, the author also provides helpful and applicable suggestions for them and how to get rid of bullshit jobs. Through this book, managers and HR directors can rediscover the existence of bullshit jobs in their organizations and deepen their understanding of the psychological and organizational negative impact. The book also gives real managers suggestions on how to deal with bullshit jobs, optimizing the structure of the organization, clarifying the roles of the people to be hired, and motivating the team by having managers take the initiative himself. These solutions presented in the book seems quite viable for real managers. The fact that the book has caused such a stir shows that the problem of bullshit jobs exists, and most of the bullshit jobs the author mentioned still exist nowadays. But the data and the logic behind the book are both a little problematic. The book is more of a personal catharsis than a logical analysis. First, the author mentions in the preface the original essay was based on a hunch. The same is true of this book. The author used survey data twice throughout the book. One is a UK national survey by Young Goy, which does not characterize specific occupations. Another survey was 250 reader submissions collected by the author. But it's important to note that all people who provided their information are who think their jobs are bullshit jobs. The data resources are limited, so I don't think it's scientific enough. Another example is the last chapter of part 1, where the author categorized bullshit jobs and shit jobs to varying degrees. Here, he does not use any survey data and theoretical basis. The clarification is entirely derived from the author's personal subjective assumptions. People can attach meanings to things. The question is not whether the work has meaning itself, but whether you have subjective conditions that give it meaning. There is no way to evaluate a class of work with the author's own ideas. A job that is bullshit to the author may be an important career for people who do it. The job may bring them considerable self-realization and key salary to their family. On the other hand, directly denying the work itself can easily make both employers and employees give up efforts to improve the working environment. Finally, the classification of work by rough definition is actually a judgment of the unequal classes formed by human beings over tens of thousands of years with a kind of universal egalitarianism. But in terms of solving real problems, the author didn't give a reasonable solution. The only suggestion made was to change the income system, which is just about policy. There's no valuable help or advice for everyday individual in society who needs to work. To recap what we have learned, we saw that bullshit jobs do exist and are a real problem in today's world. However, it can also be said that David Graeber can appear very subjective in this book, influenced by his political views leaning towards socialism while being a bit against capitalists.